Okay, maybe I'll see you at dinner.
Way she said that reminded me of a rat licking its chops. Be careful.
Back in the day, I played the hell out of Fallout 3 on my 360, and every second of it was nothing short of great. Same can't be said about New Vegas, which was brilliant. So suffice to say that when Obsidian announced The Outer Worlds, I was more than hyped for it. Of course, I was wary when it was announced the PC version would be an Epic Store exclusive, but my recent experiences with their earlier title, Tyranny, was enough to convince me to give it a go and see what this space adventure had in store for me. Now I can safely say that this has been one of the best games I've played all year. If you'd be so kind as to hold off buying it for yourself, I'd be more than happy to explain to you why.
Time to teach you some manners.
Taking place in the space colony Halcyon, The Outer Worlds sees you in the position of a member of a lost colony ship, awakened by a mad scientist in a desperate bid to try and save the colony from its corporate masters and their plans. Now at first this does seem like a rather cut and dry story and theme, but once again Obsidian showed off their talent as master storytellers. Themes like late-state capitalism and corporatism are explored with bright humour and thoughtful nuance, all wrapped around a beautiful early 20th century retro-futuristic world, where every aspect of life, from religion to your death, is in some way entrenched in corporate oversight and red tape. An interesting aspect of the story is that there's no real villain. Yes, there are characters who are antagonists, but they're not necessarily evil. The core characters are just staring down an unavoidable catastrophe, and while the antagonists have come up with a dehumanizing solution, another character is taking a gamble against them for a potential alternative. There's nothing else like it on the market, and the characters that inhabit this world are entertaining in their own right. A personal favorite is the cleaning robot Sam, who communicates exclusively in promotional statements and console commands. The only issue the story has is that it is fairly short. Depending on difficulty and player skill, you could easily beat The Outer Worlds in around 8 to 12 hours if you ignored the side content. This is a result of Obsidian prioritizing quality over quantity. But with that being said, this is the type of game that demands multiple playthroughs, not only to get your money's worth, but because the story is so compelling at times, it will leave you wondering what would have happened if you chose the opposite.
My name's Jen. I'm the chief engineer on this gunship, and I'd like to let the record show that our captain is a total fucking hullhead. I told him...
At its core, the Outer Worlds gameplay isn't too different from the Bethesda Fallout titles, but it does feel like an evolution in some areas. It's played like a traditional FPS, but with a bigger emphasis on character interaction and speech checks, as in an overwhelming number of enemy encounters can be overcome by persuasion or being knowledgeable about a certain skill, or in some cases, just having the right armor or gun equipped. But of course, for combat itself, there is a version of the VAT system to give the shooting a tactical edge that's done in real time like Fallout 76, but unlike 76, didn't cock it up. For one, it makes use of bullet time, and when it's activated you're told what effect shooting a certain body part will have, and being familiar with how this works can really be the deciding factor in a make or break situation. To help you out, you can also take 2 companions with you into the field, and not only do they provide entertaining banter, but come equipped with special attacks for an extra edge and perk bonuses for skills and stats. Special attacks play out as these in-game mini cinematics, and these are fine. They're quick and they don't really disrupt the flow of battle, but that's just me. I can see someone else getting annoyed with these, but ultimately this is a part of the game that boils down to personal preference. But if you prefer, you can go alone, and this will activate solo perks for your character, but will also mean having one less hand to help you out in a fight, and missing out on a bonus that may have guaranteed an easier path.
Mode activated.
Another interesting aspect of the game is how skill progression is handled. Rather than dumping skill points into skills, you put them into skill categories. Dialogue has skills like persuasion, intimidation, and lying, while stealth has sneaking, hacking, and lockpicking. And when one is thrown into one of these categories, it's applied to all skills under it, until they reach a threshold of 50. After that, points have to go into specific skills to make your character more specialized. Perks, on the other hand, are handled in a very standard manner. You use perk points to buy a perk you like, but there's an extra way to get them other than leveling up. If your character does something repeatedly or suffers from something constantly, you'll receive a little pop-up message to give your character a weakness, like take extra fall damage or have a drug dependency. If you accept this weakness, you're compensated with an extra perk point to balance it out and help add into the role-playing experience. Because of this, my character in my first playthrough ended up with a dependency where if he didn't take a hit of medicine regularly, he'd start wigging out and suffer a penalty to attributes like perception. As a result, I hoarded as many healing items as possible, or to make sure my little druggie wouldn't start using steel wool to get the spiders out from under his skin.
He's really shooting! Safety's off!
Something else to be said is that this is not an open world game. Instead, the game's world is divided into these small open hubs. This choice has allowed Obsidian to pack these areas with as much detail as the story and give each area its own look and feel, and exploring these can lead to some interesting encounters. This setup also blows the perception that deep and engaging RPGs need to be open world, and despite what you might expect, the game is technically sound. There are no game-destroying bugs or graphical glitches like New Vegas's rotating tutorial head. I did experience some frame rate hiccups here and there, more so when capturing footage, but it wasn't enough to really hurt my time with it. A bigger issue the game does have though is lighting. I don't know why, but for some reason if the contrast isn't too low, then the bloom is overdone, and this is when you've adjusted the brightness to your liking. So the result is the color in the environment being muted, outright hurting the beauty of the game, because this is otherwise a beautiful game to look at. A much bigger and significant issue I do have with the game is the Epic Store exclusivity and Microsoft. On PC, this isn't exclusive for the Epic Store, which means if you live in Australia like me, you have to deal with US conversion rates, which are just so damned annoying. I got around it by buying a key on Green Man Gaming, and while I can't say it was cheaper, at least I knew exactly what I was paying. The other issue is that Obsidian is now owned by Microsoft, and by extension, so are their IPs. So whether or not we see any expansions or DLC for this game could be down to whether or not their new overlords permit it, and considering the first game Obsidian are making under the Microsoft banner is a survival rafting title called Grounded, I can't help but fear this may be the first step towards repeating BioWare's Fall from Grace, but I could be wrong on that since a different team is working on that game, but I can't help but worry.
Liked it. I fucking loved it. The lawyers are another story. But you let me worry about them. You just hang on to that. It'll take a few months to get your contract set up, but it'll be worth it.
Ultimately, if The Outer Worlds does end up being Obsidian's last great RPG, then it is one hell of a swan song. An engrossing role-playing experience with unique characters and a lovely world is waiting for you to jump in. This is not only one of my top picks for Game of the Year, but hands down one of the best games to come out this year. This is an absolute must-play that I can wholeheartedly recommend.
Ooh, I just got goosebumps. You really know how to sell that, don't you? Maybe you could, teach me how you do that.
Sir, I doubt this is the time.
Right. I'll lock the south gate to keep them out. You'll have to approach from the north.
Alright, thanks for checking out this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me tell you, I really did enjoy checking this game out. It was awesome. For the next game review, I'm going to be taking a look at Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts by CI Games, and for movie reviews, in the pipeline, I've got reviews for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Charlie's Angels, and Ford vs. Ferrari. The last one, I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Anyway, I've got all that more coming up, so please stick around. Oh, and also, if you really liked the video, don't forget to subscribe. See ya!